This channel has a lot of massively unrelated content. Every video is basically based on what I wanted to talk about, be it modern or retro stuff. When I decided to cover The Tester, Sony's attempt at a PlayStation-themed elimination-style reality show, I had no idea it would be this hard to talk about it. But this show is so bland, so boring, and at times so frustrating that I'm going to struggle to talk about it. But I sure as hell am going to try, because I sure as hell am not wasting the 12 hours I spent watching it. So, The Tester. Some faceless Sony executives decided that what the world needed was a reality show about regular gamers competing for a job as a QA tester. It's not a bad idea, and certainly there are worse TV show concepts. As such, the first series was released on February 18th, 2010. The show ran for 3 seasons, and in this video I'll be discussing what works and what doesn't about this bizarre piece of PlayStation history. I want to make one important disclaimer before we start this video though. Reality TV is rarely real. I won't be personally insulting any contestant on the show because we don't know how much of what's being shown is real or not. Any criticisms I do make are specifically within the context of this show, and the fact that these are real people who likely had no idea that this was how they were going to be portrayed is important to remember. Also, I don't condone any sort of harassment towards the contestants. If you're thinking about doing that, fuck off, basically. The format of the show is pretty by the numbers. The contestants live in a loft surrounded by PlayStation memorabilia, because you know what we should advertise on a show that's only available on the PlayStation 3? PlayStation 3s. You know, in case you need 2.
PlayStation Move, oh my god!
There it is, the only person in the world who has ever been hyped for PlayStation Move. Anyway, they live here and they have this classic kind of conflict that you can only get from reality shows. They all do some stupid challenge that's very tangentially related to video game development and testing. Then they go to an elimination where at least one of them goes home. Rinse and repeat until one of them is declared the winner. The show's hosted by Meredith... I can't help but do it in like a slightly Welsh accent. The show's hosted by Meredith Molinari, who, honestly, doesn't do a bad job. She was also the host of PlayStation Live from E3, and she does interviews for films. She's a talented presenter, and even with this slightly weak premise, she does a fairly decent job of hosting. The main judge for the show is Brent Goki, Senior Release Manager for First Party Quality Assurance. Don't worry if you won't remember that though, because they'll tell you every episode.
Senior Release Manager of First Party Quality Assurance. The Release Manager, First Party Quality Assurance. Senior Release Manager, First Party Quality Assurance. Senior Release Manager, First Party Quality Assurance. Senior Release Manager, Global First Party. Alright already!
In Season 1, the second recurring judge is Hal Sparks, a comedian I can't say I recognise, though he does do the voice of Tack in those games. So if you're one of the like 6 people who also played him, well first of all, you're one of the real ones and I appreciate you. Secondly, that's this guy. For future seasons, however, he was replaced with Adrian Curry. As the winner of America's Next Top Model, some might be confused as to why she's here, but honestly, I like her inclusion. She apparently is a pretty avid gamer. Believe it or not, Diablo is apparently her favourite game series. She's done the reality show shtick before, and she does add some pretty funny dialogue to the show. Yes, there's certainly a level of gamers need sex appeal with her inclusion, but to pretend that's all she's here for is dishonest, I think. The third guest is different every episode, which is nice. It adds a bit of variety, and sometimes there's some real PlayStation royalty on the show, like David Jaffe or Ted Price.
David Jaffe.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy! It's good to see you guys again. Don't ever do that again.
The 2 recurring judges are fine. They're perfectly acceptable for this gig. But that's kind of the problem. There's a lot about this show which is fine. I'm inclined to be generous to the first season due to it going through some growing pains, but I certainly am ready to call out some bullshit. Because let me tell you, there's some bullshit. Every one of these shows needs their version of you're eliminated. In Apprentice, it's you're fired.
You're fired.
In Hell's Kitchen, it's give me a jacket.
Give me a jacket.
For this show, it's all about the badges. They have these badges on lanyards which remind me of the keys to my room when I was a fresher at uni, and if they get kicked off, they need to hang up their badge and leave. It feels a little forced in that regard. It's not really a great hook. Especially the cheesy as fuck final line, your game ends here.
I'm sorry.
Your game ends here.
It's like one step above from saying game over. So the format of the show is generic, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Just having a generic structure doesn't inherently make your work bad. I myself am a fan of plenty of movies and games which have generic plots or formats because of the presentation, the characters, the minutiae, as it were. Ooh, that's a good word. For a show like this, that will translate to the presentation, the contestants, the challenges, and the theming. That last one's important because it needs to directly relate to the theme of game development. A show like Hell's Kitchen would feel incomplete without all the fire, in particular especially during the cooking, because it ties into the theme. The boardroom discussions is what makes The Apprentice's business theme work so well. It's an often overlooked part of making a show like this, so I think it'll be important to discuss. But first, let's talk about... The presentation of this show is really bland. The editing is precisely what you'd expect from a reality show, except for when it becomes absolutely fucking insane.
Developed a different kind of sense as I'm in the sand. I'm in Hades' world. I was low-key cheating because I seen with the third eye right above my brain.
It feels like a desperate attempt to add some actual flair to the show and make it slightly less uninteresting, but it just comes across as childish. At times, it feels like just dangling keys in front of a baby. It's like, whoa, movement and noises, now I'm interested. Like, knock it off. Also, I find it really weird that they don't censor the word shit, but they do censor the word douchebag. I find it weirder that in the next episode, they don't censor the word douchebag.
Douchebag.
American TV is weird, man. This is something that's always been a problem with American reality shows. I don't mean to generalize, and certainly if I'm in the mood for it, it's my cup of tea, but if you watch the UK version of, say, Kitchen Nightmares compared to the American version, you'll notice all the differences.
Let's hope Lawrence's signature dish of prawns in chocolate sauce gives me the flavour of the med.
Cool deal. I mean, it's worse than chocolate sauce. It's hot, over-spicy, chili chocolate sauce.
Right, let's start off with CT. Drawn butter. Horrible. Soaking wet bread. It's like eating a fucking wet diaper. So sorry, Connecticut, but I am moving on. Lobster's not seasoned. Bland. What a shame.
It's a fillet steak. Yeah. It was tough as old boots. Sure. I don't know. Well, you know, before you start fucking mouthing up, let me just show you. A cube that big and a cube that big are not going to cook at the same time.
That's my fault.
Oh, fuck me, here we go. Can I just finish the sentence first, Sinbad, and then you can fucking come back on me in a minute?
You seem a very relaxed man with your restaurant.
What do you want me to do? I disagree. It doesn't smell bad to me, the fish.
I've just given a piece to your chef.
Yeah.
The piece was stinking.
It wasn't stinking.
You're blind, my friend.
No.
If you're not blind, you're fucking clueless, you know that? Now the owner said it's not stinking, it's fragrant, fresh, and perfect. That's why it came back, right? Massage his ego.
You see what I mean? It's just a bit too much, and sometimes it takes me out of it. It reflects a lack of confidence in the material, in my opinion. If a show can't get us invested based on what's happening, they'll add a load of obnoxious sound effects and stock music. Saying stock music in relation to the test is a bit unfair, actually. I think the show has a pretty good soundtrack. Unnecessarily used at times, for sure, and not always the most fitting, but the music does sound pretty good. I suppose with 5 people credited for the music, it was always going to be decent, but friend of the channel Teal Game Master made a good point about the music. It's possible it's actually from PlayStation games. I didn't recognise any piece of music, but it's worth mentioning. If someone can confirm or deny this, much appreciated. Maybe that's why there are so many people credited for music, but I don't know. And in either case, it sounds good, and I like it. Outside of the, at times, bizarre editing, the show's presented exactly how you'd expect. There are no interesting camera angles, there's very by-the-numbers direction, and it looks weirdly cheap in a lot of places. The first season I can forgive, as it's clearly more of a proof of concept, but the second and third seasons looking as cheap as they do in many places is just kind of bizarre. Especially when you consider all the ads in the show. Yeah, this is the other thing about the presentation. The first 2 seasons start with adverts.
This episode of The Tester will begin after a brief message.
I don't inherently begrudge this. I mean, the show was released exclusively on the PlayStation Network originally, so I get that they need to make money. My issue really comes from some of the ad choices. There are exactly 2 adverts that relate to gaming. One of them is for Medal of Honor 2010. Remember that? No, you don't. Stop lying. But the other is easily the best advert in the whole show's run.
It's the most realistic baseball game ever, so even guys like you and me with no talent whatsoever can feel the rush of being in the show.
But I'm the American League MVP.
Sure you are, big guy.
Joe Mauer?
Mauer.
Dude, we went fishing in Cabo.
I'm not even allowed in Mexico.
Then where did I get this?
Well played, Mauer.
The show. Rated E for everyone.
PlayStation.
All the other adverts are for stuff like piss in a can, hands-free calling on Ford cars, and believe it or not, the US Air Force? Why? What makes it worse, though, is that Season 2 has mid-roll ads. Like, what is this, a YouTube video? The final issue with the presentation is the blatant product placement throughout. We get extended scenes of how amazing Ford cars are.
And we zoom off to the challenge in these amazing Ford Flexes.
And how delicious Subway's new breakfast menu is.
They just brought breakfast. It looks delicious.
I've actually never had the Subway breakfast.
Well, they just started having breakfast now.
Wow, I wonder if Subway were financially invested in PlayStation.
Hey, I'm Nathan Drake. If you're the adventurous type like me, then get in on the Subway Taste for Adventure for a chance to win epic trips and exclusive access to Uncharted 3!
Oh, what a show! A show like this needs to have compelling contestants to succeed. When it comes to reality TV, there's a lot of casting that goes into getting people on the show to make sure there are enough people to keep it interesting. It's something that not many people seem to know. This is what I mean about reality TV rarely being real. A fair few of these contestants are chosen specifically to be slotted into character molds. The nice one, the villain, the goofball, the cool guy. Plenty of the people are specifically here to be boiled down into these stereotypes. Also, just as a side note, I really hate how they dehumanizingly refer to each other by their PSN IDs. Like, these guys are actual human beings, and it's impossible to discuss them as such when I need to refer to them all with names like Goof, Barmy, Luge, Big D, Fantasy Girl, Quaja Monster, or Ashichan. I actually feel like I've aged slightly, moaning about kids today and their PSN IDs. With that said, let's discuss a few of the contestants in the series. We have the proest of gamers, and someone who I think it's pretty impossible to talk about the tester without mentioning, Big Physique. A man who actually is the exact kind of stereotypes that give gamers a bad name. Thanks for using him to portray us, Sony.
I don't have a relationship, I don't have a social life, because I'm gaming nonstop. I've been collecting unemployment, okay, because I haven't had a job. And those unemployment checks, I cash them, and you know, I bought all games with them.
Imagine being proud of that, holy shit. Big Physique's entire purpose in the series is just to cause shit and act like an asshole.
Huh? Her? Don't. Hey man, look at me. What do you want? What more do you want?
It was just fun.
Look at her, man. She's crying. No.
Bro.
Still have a heart.
Crying and sorry are unacceptable.
There's exactly one episode where he's fine and actually comes across okay, but every other time he's on screen, he's there to be an issue.
I'm confident that I can get us ahead because I eat a lot and I eat anything, the most disgusting food. And I can just eat whatever on that plate in like 2 seconds.
Amazing. Then there's the annoying little kid at a wedding, Mo Chocolate. This guy in particular is like, he's the goofball gone wrong. He doesn't come across as endearing, just annoying. Specifically, there's a bit where he starts acting like a dumbass and causes his team to lose as a direct result of his childish behavior.
Hell yeah!
Not right now, good job.
Woo-hoo!
Mo, give me a hug.
Yes.
Time is still running. The crown has not been grabbed yet.
Like what? Oh.
You guys didn't grab the crown. Okay,
How do you think? What'd you grab?
to your right, down.
I'm like, oh, I was supposed to pick up the crown.
You almost got it. Put that crown on. Both of you put that
And
crown on.
time.
Do you realize how close
you guys were. I think it was like 8 seconds.
Exactly 8 seconds.
And I think you spent a good 20 seconds pumping your boulder in the air.
But then hypocritically accuses someone else of not taking this seriously.
We are so pissed off that this guy who is not taking this seriously is still here.
Yeah, because heaven forbid that you not take this shit seriously. We have the lovable Sky Diddy from Season 3, who seems to be a really cool guy. He's dopey for sure, and he was definitely unlikely to win because of it, but he seemed like a really chill dude, and I'd happily go for a drink with him. Well done, Sky. You broke past the manipulative editing of reality TV to come out looking fairly good. So Skyden from Season 3, however, did not. She was loud and at times annoying for sure, but through most of the series I felt nothing but sympathy for her. There are plenty of times when people just start shit with her for no reason.
I mean, I'm up for elimination. I am already on the hot seat.
Well, yeah, but there's 6 people on your team and only one's going.
And only one spoke Spanish during the challenge. And wow, let's talk about leadership here. And being a captain and doing something. Yo, why are you starting drama? Like, I was not even talking to you.
Have drama.
Yo, you started this. You were like talking Spanish. I said one phrase in Spanish.
Anymore, sweetie.
And yo,
I'm not gonna keep my mouth shut anymore.
And I'm not gonna keep my mouth shut with you.
And I think the editors were hoping to make her look terrible, to make us support the 3 girls who were ganging up on her. It's tragic what reality TV can do to a person. It's also worth mentioning that in the last 2 seasons, there was one contestant who was voted in by the viewers. In Season 2 it was 8-Bit Mickey with a frankly terrifying promotional video, which I kind of don't want to dwell too much on. I feel like this is going to get me demonetized just showing it. But in Season 3 it was Ego Raptor, who you may know from Game Grumps or his animation. Game Grumps. This was clearly done to cipher fans from popular online creators, as seen with the drop-off in views after Ego Raptor left Season 3. But I kind of wish they weren't pretending like it wasn't.
What do you think is going to make you stand out within this competition?
I think I stand out because I'm funny, I got an audience. I think I'll pull in the watchers, you know, I'll pull in the viewers, get a lot of new fans from here.
Are you here for the attention, or are you here to actually win the competition?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, you know. After the prize package was announced, oh my goodness.
Yeah, Ego shouldn't have played to his, well, ego. But the panel pretending that he's not there to boost their numbers is kind of embarrassing. But that's not the main point of casting certain contestants. The real point is to have storylines. These are sub-stories designed to captivate the viewers to see what happens next with the contestants. The 3 most common are romantic storylines.
Here I am playing it, you know, with an amazingly attractive girl who also, you know, loves video games, and I think, you know, in a perfect world, that's kind of mine.
Oh my god, she's a hot girl, and she plays video games! Alliance subplots.
So pitch it to me.
I want us to form an alliance. I know what I can do, and I already saw what you're capable of, so I want to keep you on my side.
Wait, is this lunatic just drinking straight milk? And everyone's favourite, conflict storylines. There's a specific conflict storyline that I want to talk about, but I'm considering making that a separate sort of mini video, maybe for all my 0 patrons or something for the gang in the Discord chat. Who knows? But for this video, let's show the less constructive ones.
I feel like there is one specific person that isn't here for the right reasons. I feel like Skyden is causing unnecessary drama in the house.
It seems that all you can do is talk bad about me so you can look good.
Judges asked her a question and she answered it truthfully. They're not sitting here asking for bullshit, they're asking for truthful answers.
It's gonna be so heartbreaking to see someone who wants this job so much to go just because someone is good at faking it.
I truly have to agree. I can't see her working in a studio, feverishly working on a video game when she should be on stage somewhere, on Broadway or singing or...
Are you now completely invested in these people's struggles? If you said no, save yourself half a day and don't bother watching this show. Storylines are always the weakest part of reality shows for me. It all feels so false and is nakedly done just to play to the cameras. The fact that this show focuses so much on them is probably the biggest reason the show feels like it has so much filler. For a show that's only half an hour long per episode, it feels like it drags on ridiculously, and a big part of that is a large focus on all this superfluous bullshit. Speaking of superfluous bullshit, the elimination style of the show necessitates challenges per episode. This is a pretty common part of reality shows too, so I don't actually have a problem with the concept. What I do have a problem with, though, is the execution. Bearing in mind that the grand prize is a job as a QA tester for Sony, you'd expect the challenges to actually relate to that as a prize. If only. If all the budget and time that went into planning these stupid, irrelevant challenges which just insult your intelligence were put into ways to show relevant challenges more interestingly, this show could have been so much better. And truth be told, there are a couple of challenges I actually really like. There's one in Season 2 where the teams have to conceptualize a game and pitch it to industry experts, which is both relevant and interesting to watch. There's also a trivia challenge every season, which I like, and the first challenge of Season 3 is literally a sit-down interview with the judges, which is cool. Although, they add some stupid bollocks with a box of cockroaches around your head because you're a tester, so you need to find bugs. Very little about the show feels genuine. Why should I care if these people are good at running around in sumo suits while blindfolded? Or launching melons from catapults? Or LARPing? No, seriously, one of the challenges is literally to set up a LARP session to prove that you are somehow suited to be a QA tester, apparently. I guess they were hoping for these challenges to be so wacky that it would catch on, but honestly, these come across as stupid and superfluous. It's a real shame that the show doesn't seem confident enough in its core premise and theming to lean into it. And that brings me back to the final point I'd like to touch on. Because I mentioned theming before. I tied it all together. I was very smart. This show oozes with corporate gaming stereotypes. I can only describe it as being a show about gamers TM playing video games registered trademark. It's gaming related in aesthetic only, with PlayStation consoles all over the place and judges directly related to PlayStation games. Everything else feels completely detached. A show designed to give gamers a chance to work in the industry is inherently niche. Think about all the game jams people watch, where it's primarily based around the actual creation of the game. Think of how much better this show would have been if it actually committed to its theming and was confident enough in its own core concept. Bearing in mind that Sony had complete creative control regarding how the show was made and how it would be distributed, it could have done something interesting, experimental, and brilliant. But as it stands, this is dumbed down, embarrassing, generic, and insincere slop. And the biggest sin of the tester? It's so boring. I'm amazed I got as many talking points out of it as I did, and I genuinely considered scrapping this video because it was just so fucking boring that I thought I was going to struggle with material. So, you know, I did it. I really hope this video came out okay, but that's for you guys to decide. Thanks a million for watching this video, I really appreciate it. I wish I'd written a smarter ending now, but hey, what can you do? If you liked the video, please do like it and share it around with people who you think might also like it. I'm a small channel trying to grow from scratch, so all the exposure at this point really does help the channel. Feel free to subscribe too and check out some of my other videos. As I say, a lot of my content is just kind of mishmashy, but I've made videos about old British stores and TV shows. Maybe you'd be interested in seeing those. They'll be in the end card. Thanks a million for watching, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Your game ends here. Yeah, it really doesn't work as a sign-off.